We're going to talk all things wealth management, markets, asset management. I'm very excited. Maybe to kick us off, gentlemen, welcome. Could you please each briefly introduce your role and why you are doing what you do today?
Okay, I'll kick off. My name is Raed Jaser. I'm the Group Head of Wealth Advisory in Emerson BD. I have about 20 years of banking experience, mainly in retail and wealth management. Why do I do it is a very interesting question, but the curve of learning and wealth management and the value add you do to your clients is just amazing. So I'm passionate about it. I like it. I do invest myself. And I'd love to make sure that clients are getting the best out of it.
I love that. So it's a blend of investment and also the client interface, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Michail?
My name is Michail Samawi. I'm the CEO of Emerson BD Asset Management out of the IFC. I think being part of wealth management within Emerson BD is really very interesting. I think we're one of the few platforms within the GCC and even the UAE that has been set wealth management within one business line that can offer actually what we call a one bank approach, and wherever the client or the segments can access all the wealth solutions within one stop shop. And that is very important, which means within the wealth itself, through Raed advisory team, they can access asset management, execution, and then also asset management, advisory, everything under one roof. And that actually is a very unique value proposition and really very interesting to be part of that innovating business line.
Awesome. I'd like to start there with customers, right? Because we're seeing lots of technology shifts. We're seeing also lots of shifts in sort of the wealth management approach, right? Robo-advisors, direct, self-directed execution. What are you seeing in terms of shifting client expectations? You see them every day. So give us a bit of a feel.
So it's really interesting you ask this question, and I'll tell you why. If you go back 15 years in the UAE, I would say the market was still raw when it comes to wealth management and how to invest and what to invest. I think about that time or a little more, they started the stock market in the country, right? And the appetite of investors in the region picked up just crazy since then till date. But yes, to answer your question, it is true that you see today a blend of both, where clients want their advisors to take on their asset allocation and help them to invest. But at the same time, they would tell you, you know what, let me try myself and do a self-driven journey or a execution-only trade and so on and so forth. You see as well a lot of trend going towards crypto. And you see a lot of clients asking us if they can trade crypto through us, which is one of the things we have built up and we're building from there onwards on it. So you see a mix of multiple journeys, even within a single client. And sometimes you see a pool of friends, even in the ultra high net worth space, where they gather around, discuss a stock or discuss a cryptocurrency or discuss a solution, and they start reaching out to their advisors on a multiple banking relationships, asking for the same thing over and over, which somehow is very beneficial for us because it helps us to keep on evolving as we go. So you get the Geneva flavor, the Singapore flavor, and you can bring it on to the UAE and come up with that particular approach. So yeah, it's a cool thing to see these days.
And that's interesting. It's also geographically we're at the crossroads of all of these regions, right? Also a huge amount of wealth creation and wealth being transferred as well in the UAE. I think it's the number one destination for millionaires, right?
Absolutely.
I think where I'm originally from, London, they've all left and ran here. I guess I tried to follow them, though I'm not yet a client of yours, aiming to be one day.
Don't worry, we'll help you.
And so with all of this client feedback, right? You what do you do with this client feedback? How do you approach it?
That's a good question. I think in Emirates MBD, as part of what we call product development, we start what we call with market scan. Actually, we identify trends. We also analyze data and market intelligence and make sure that we actually customize the product according to the market needs. And that's how we started the journey. So the wealth journey started with the market intelligence, make sure that we are aligned with what the client expectation is. From there, what we take those ideas and transform it into products. And those products are got tested through use cases with our clients, with our also colleagues in the group, and make sure that we create a product pipeline every year that is aligned with the market expectations.
Okay, and then in terms of because you've got almost different distribution channels at your disposal, right? You've got the client advisory team, you've got Carlos who just passed by looking at digital. Is it that you listen to this direct customer feedback, you build a product, and then you cover all channels, or do you pick certain products for certain channels? How does that? How does your thinking go?
So our business is twofold. One is what we call distribution channels, and one is institutional.
Yes.
And then within both business lines, what we do is we actually take third-party vendors, which give us market intelligence about peers, markets, regions that are even maybe more developed than us. And then from there, we see where is the appetite, and we try to actually bring that use cases to the UAE as well. So I'll give you an example, for instance. Democratizing private assets, one of the biggest themes in the worldwide. What we did is actually we've partnered with BlackRock, and then within that we created a fully exclusive private platforms for our wealth channels to actually have access to asset class that has always been dominated by institutional clients. These kind of feedbacks, we take it from third-party external, but also from our colleagues in the group as well.
And where is this client demand coming from for this sort of institutional grade, in this particular example, private market?
Well, you'll be extremely shocked that this is coming across the board. So rather be it from our corporate clients to private banking to even our signature banking clients, even the affluent are extremely interested. Of course, our business banking as well. So it's either we have a lot of millionaires on our portfolios or it's just a product where everyone can do. But the beauty about this is that there is an open channel of communication almost on a daily basis, multiple times, me calling him, telling him, I want this, I want that. Can we do here or there? And you've mentioned Carlos. Same one goes on Carlos because he manages all the digital aspect for us, right? But the beauty is whenever Michail comes up with a solution, we try to ensure that the solution covers all type of clients and all type of segments. So the beauty about Emirates NBD doesn't really matter if you're a millionaire or not. There are certain rules and requirements you need to meet when it comes to either your risk tolerance, affordability, suitability, and stuff like that. But you could avail an ultra high net worth solution through being just a regular employee who's earning, let's say, 50 or 100,000 or so on and so forth. So the beauty about it is that the solutioning goes from start, and it covers all type of segments all the way to the international large corporates. And this is something unique. And my previous experience, private banking solution will only be a private banking solution and no one can access it. Today, if you don't have a $200,000 to buy a bond, we can give you the same bond at a $5,000, right? Which is again a unique solution. We call it fractional bonds, but this is not available in the market. And it's exactly the same solution with no difference. We have just found a mathematical way to reduce the contribution amount or the minimum contribution. So yeah.
I love this. Democratizing access to more complex products, but still checking for suitability,
of course,
and leveraging the technology to do so. And so it's a really exciting time, really, to be in wealth. And I think the results also show it in our annual report. Massive growth. So you must be very excited for what's to come. So we talked about sort of private markets, bring that on board. What other product innovations are we cooking, or could we be looking forward to from ENBD?
I'll leave this. This is Michael's piece because he's getting us a lot of stuff. But I'd love for him to tell us more about his Saudi creations nowadays and what he's bringing to the table in Saudi. And the point that I'd love to mention before he goes on, because he's so passionate about this, is that we have identified how much UAE-based investors are excited to invest in the Saudi market. Which is a great opportunity for us and to our clients, and a very strong enhancement in our offering and our value proposition. But I'll let him tell the details because he is in love with this.
Definitely. I think we've identified as a wealth three main growth pillars, and one of them definitely is democratizing private assets. We've already last month signed an exclusive arrangement with BlackRock to democratize that. That is one project that we are very passionate about, and we are one of the few that have done that. Secondly is pension. Actually, we're trying to create what we call a progressive pension schemes that can actually transform the way how you save for retirement. We've in Emirates NBD we have invested heavily in the technology itself. So now we have invested in Orem and also FinFlex, and the idea is very simple. We want to transform how citizens, how expats actually save through either defined contribution, which is as we know now is still voluntary, but also through elective saving scheme, which is, by the way, Raed is his number one priority when it goes to priority banking specifically, and also retail banking. So this is something that is also under discussion as well. I think we should go live maybe hopefully in July or August. And the third pillar of growth is Saudi. We have Saudi is definitely Vision 2030 is really very promising. There's so many new sectors, new industries is being created there. And I mean, we're very proud that Emirates NBD now is the largest international bank in Saudi. We have around, I think, 23 maybe retail shops there.
Yes.
And we have more than, I think now as we speak, around $5 billion of asset under management. So what we're trying to do in Saudi as well is to actually build a platform that is completely catered to the Saudi market. So one big theme is real estate. And I think we're one of the few, maybe the only, within the GCC out Saudi banks is doing real estate funds. We have launched now the Mecca fund. We launched before that also a Jeddah fund. But I mean, Saudi is a huge growth pillar for us on wealth and also for retail as well in general.
That's amazing.
And Saudi is one of our key strategies when it comes to diversifying our books, because we do feel that the 2030 is coming big, and we want to be one of the early comers, and that's why we've been investing a lot in our resources and our presence and our branches and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and what I love about that as well in terms of the pillars of growth that you've outlined is, often people think, oh, wealth, like you said, I have to be a very wealthy person to even access these types of products, even think about it. But actually it's also about financial well-being, right? And planning ahead and having that sort of at the country level even, right? You want people to be saving for retirement. You want to give them options. You want them to think about that early rather than later. So I love that. And then the Saudi opportunity, and it's also learning for me. I've only been here for 2 years, by the way, coming from London. But like the local markets here are super exciting, right? So I keep getting on my NBD app, free trade for local markets, and I was like, okay, I'll have a quick look at what kind of stocks. And there's tremendous opportunities here that if you were outside of the region, you wouldn't even potentially consider, right? And so this could be a great platform or trampoline for investors here and for us as a regional bank, but also international, right? There's a lot of international capital that is suddenly paying attention, which is competition for us in some ways, but also an opportunity, right?
So you can't separate the growth of the UAE's economy and its global presence away from its stock market, right?
Yes.
It's like the stock market is part of that growth. It's part of that economy. It's actually the translation to the growth in numbers or in figures. We do expect the local stock market to keep on growing in the upcoming few years, and we have seen it. So if you go back 4 years, the amount of IPOs and new issuances and the awareness within the private and the government entities to go public has transformed the entire industry. And trust me, there has been times where 100 advisors in Emirates NBD were unable to cater to the quantity of IPOs. That and all, we had the digital arm, which is overloaded as well. So, which is really exciting times, but this tells you how committed the country and how strong the economy is in the UAE.
Absolutely, and that keeps our folks at MCAP very busy.
Absolutely.
And we just finished a fintech engagement with them, actually, looking at how they operate. And we can't do a podcast in wealth without talking about AI, unfortunately.
Yeah,
It is the topic of the day.
Absolutely.
But we looked at sort of their workflows and what, because they're a small team serving this huge growth in terms of the IPO market, the DCM, ECM markets. And we partnered with a company, so we test the value propositions of fintech companies, and we piloted this company called AlphaSense. I don't know if you've heard of it, right? Which is basically ChatGPT for capital markets on steroids, right? And using it and seeing the people using it in their day-to-day. They were knocking on our door when the pilot finished because they were like, this tool is becoming completely embedded in my workflow so quickly, right? And you can see an analyst, cutting their time by 50% on sort of these daily tasks, right?
Absolutely.
And then delivering up-to-date, accurate, value to customers at the end of the day. That's what we've seen. What other areas do you see, or what are the big opportunities that you see, both sort of on the customer interface, distribution side, and then on the product side, for some of these new technologies to come in and change the game?
Oh, where do we start?
Pick one or two.
So, in the advisory space, I'm not going to touch on AI because it's a no-brainer. But I think part of it, which is probably advanced analytics, is something which is really, really close to my heart. It helps me analyze my clients' behaviors and what could be something they're interested in. And I'll give you a very simple example. It could take me back 4 years when ex-client was interested in DIWA IPO. And the IPO, if I remember correctly, was the stock price was at 2.48. So I told the advanced analytics team, as in, you know what, DIWA had dropped below the IPO price. Could you please run your own thing and come up with a list of clients who could be potential investors in this? Now, we know that these are investors, but the turnover of employees and the flow of things that always change, right? So you need some sort of systematic type of approach. Out of the 50 clients which they came up with, and they came up with behaviors, right? So this guy have been buying, selling at a certain trend. This client bought once, sold it at the peak, never reinvested again, and so on and so forth. But I think they picked 50 clients. Out of that, if I'm not mistaken, at least 50% reinvested in DIWA, and they were extremely happy that we reached out telling them this is the situation.
This is the time, yeah.
So advanced analytics to me is really key, and it's really, really important. More than that is visibility or allowing clients to trade. This would be point two. The more you give them a friendly user type of platform, and I get this a lot about our ENBDX, right? Carlos would love to hear this, but I have been getting calls from competition how friendly it is to use ENBDX and how happy they are that we've upgraded our systems, and how easy is it to trade either local stocks or bonds or funds and so on and so forth. And this is the beauty, right? It doesn't really matter how much you have in your bank account. You can just open your portfolio account in less than a second, answer a few questions here and there. We will assess where do you fit, and we will give you products based on the assessment that you've completed, right? So the world is there. It's at a app
at your fingertips.
And it's just text it out and use it. So it's just great.
And I love that looking at client behavior, because often people buy high, right, and sell low, right? Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. Don't do that. But you're able to blend this advisory piece with the technology, and I think this blended approach yields real results and business impact. Maybe on the product side, Michail, what kind of opportunities do you see for these new technologies?
I mean, Gen AI is becoming mainstream, that's for sure. I bet that within the next 3 to 5 years, Gen AI will be 90% of the business. I mean, from research, for instance, research is now using natural processing languages, using alternative data, which can actually come from satellites, where you can actually, in real life, in real terms, identify patterns within the asset management. This is becoming very real. I mean, BlackRock, for instance, has now a complete team just doing NPLs. I mean, again, for portfolio constructions and also for risk management, the use of deep learning, machine learning. This is something that is definitely going to be mainstream within the next 1 or 2 years. And also, I can see also from an RFP perspective and due diligence, having what we call an asset management advisor, an AI advisor, where actually can process data and make it more scalable. This is something that like the likes of Schroders and all other asset managers are also doing that. So for me, every single touch point from a product perspective will be affected by AI positively, and that will also make our business more scalable in a more efficient way as well.
Yes, and I'm looking forward to working with both of you guys in terms of fintechs. Tell me.
I'd like to add something which we've adapted about a year and a half back or so. We've even started doing quantum trading in Emirates NBD under our CIO's office. And we have been computing in-house algorithms will give you market trends. And people sometimes get confused between quantum and technical analysis. It's a mix of everything.
Okay.
And it's actually working somehow well. And the trends that we have been issuing, and it's a learning phase even for us, right? But it has been working well, I would say, so far. I tested it on my own trades and it somehow worked. And that's the power of computing, I would say. As in my brain plus probably 1,000 other people will not be as strong as one simple computer, right? It's not simple, it's advanced, but yeah.
Yes, the power of compute with analytics, with Gen AI, both on the product side and then also on the customer behavior side to give sort of an optimal advice and also create these new products that are hyper tailored to the market. Okay, so as we sort of, I know you guys have busy schedules, so let's look at closing this. What's your long-term vision from an advisory perspective and from a product perspective of wealth at ENBD in the region?
You want to go first?
I mean, for me, is like there's three major trends that, or three major waves even in the region. Hyper customization, making sure that we have the right technology to actually be agile enough to adjust journeys based on customer experience. That is very important. And by the way, I think Emirates NBD are in the forefront of that with digital wealth. I think maybe the largest and the highest growing segment within retail and wealth. Yeah. Second is definitely Gen AI becomes mainstream. That's something that we are, even in Emirates NBD, fully integrated within that. And we have so many channels that we are discussing AI specifically. And thirdly is democratizing access to products for wealth, priority banking, and retail banking. Those, for me, if we perfect them, I'm pretty sure we'll be always in the pioneering.
At the top. Awesome. Thank you, Michail.
So I see the future in a way that I should not be working on a transaction or a 1-year transactions or a 2-year transaction. I should be aiming to work with the 4th and 5th generation of my clients. Wealth is moving in a way that I should make sure that the father is happy and the kids are upcoming there and they see the brand as ENBD as my next to, and we keep on developing, investing even in our clients' next generations. And we've done an amazing next gen in our private bank last year, and we will keep on evolving this particular space. But I would see that we should focus on the generations which is coming up and be up there, especially in technology, because my client who's 70 years old, his son is probably 35 years old, but the upcoming 15-year-old who's the grandson or granddaughter will probably want to buy equities through Roblox, right? They could probably want to buy, I don't know, derivatives by when they're at school. I don't know. This generation, and even looking at my children, they're on a different scale altogether. The things they do, I'm like, oh my God, you guys know these things? I don't know about that. So, and even my 4-year-old, she knows how to use my phone probably with better options than my knowledge to it. So, I think we have to keep on enhancing and developing our systems. And probably the next big thing I'm going to ask Carlos to do is for the next gen, anyone who's below 18, I want to create a demo type of app for these people to use.
Yes.
For them to learn about markets and how to do certain things. I don't know. But my theory is we have to ensure that we can entertain the upcoming generations and ensure that we provide a top-notch services and advisory for the first and second and even third generation and take things forward.
It's beautiful. I'm loving this blend of in-person and client attention and client centricity, as well as sort of making sure that we take advantage of these new technology waves at the heart of a huge wealth tech boom in the UAE and beyond. We're very excited about Saudi, as you said, and connecting that across the region. So, gentlemen, I want to say thank you for your time. This has been an awesome conversation. I hope we get to do it again.
Thank you so
Pleasure.
much.
Pleasure.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Cool.